Good morning, Dave here from davestravelpages.com, and this is day 2 of the Hercules Bike tour around the Peloponnese of Greece. Literally just got out of bed, so I'm going to go down and get some breakfast and see what sort of breakfast we get for a €26 a night hotel room with breakfast included. And then I'm going to hit the road and cycle towards Nafplion, about a 60-kilometre day, and I'm thinking to stop at 1 if not 2 archaeological sites along the way. I feel pretty good this morning. There's not too much aching, which is a bit of a bonus really, although I will apply some sunblock today. It's probably a little bit too late, but I will do it anyway. So I will catch you in a bit. I'm just leaving Corinth now, and this is a bit more like it, a reasonably quiet country lane. Greece hasn't got the best cycling infrastructure in the world, it has to be said, but when you do get out into the countryside and there's not much traffic, it's pretty good. So a 60-kilometre day on the way to Nafplion, and I'm toying with the idea of stopping at 1 if not 2 archaeological sites. One would be Mycenae or Mycenae, and the other one would be Tyrins. So we'll see how I get on. So, as I leave Corinth, I should say that there are 2 archaeological sites here. One is called Ancient Corinth, and one is called Acro Corinth. I've been to both of them before, but the reason I'm not doing it on this trip is they're not connected with the Hercules labours legend, and I've only got so much time on this trip. But they're both certainly worth seeing if you're in this area, so I would suggest, if you've not been here before, just extend your stay in Corinth by a day, maybe even 2 days to see both sites. I've got about 20 kilometres to go now to Mycenae, so just stopped for a coffee and a Doropida. Hi there, so I'm about 35 kilometres into the journey and the time is about 20 past 1. I've had a few stops along the way, had a lovely coffee and a Doropida in a cafe, and I've got about 5 or 10 kilometres to go to Mycenae, but I'm uncertain whether I should go and visit it today. The reason being is that it may close at 3, and if it does, I won't have enough time to see the site because it's at the top of a hill as well, so it could take me like another hour to get there. So I'm going to play it by ear, and I'm not sure if you can hear the wind behind me and see things moving in the breeze. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Anyway, it looks like there's a bit of a tailwind, so you shouldn't really, as a cyclist, ignore a tailwind, you should use it. So what I might do is just carry on to Nafplion, and then tomorrow I'll do a circular day trip without any of the panniers from Nafplion and see a bunch of archaeological sites in the area. So I think I will continue cycling and see what happens. So, I've made it to Mycenae, and as helpful as Greeks are in their regular life, put them in a position of authority, and they're not very helpful at all. So rather than leave my bike just inside the gate where I could lock it to the fence, which you can just see about here, they've made me leave it outside, which is very useful of them. So hopefully all my stuff will be there when I get back. So the bike is locked to the gate, but there we go. So anyway, this probably is going to be a quicker visit than I would like to see Mycenae. Okay, so here we are walking up to the beginning of Mycenae. And Mycenae is one of the oldest archaeological sites in Greece in terms of a fortified site, and it's linked with King Agamemnon, who sent off the ships to Troy, and maybe we'll see a bit of that in the museum. The Hercules link though isn't exactly direct, so Hercules started and finished his labours in the city of Tyrins, which at the time was the capital of the Kingdom of Mycenae. But I think if Hercules did exist, it would be inconceivable that he didn't come here. So we're going to take a walk up now, and the first thing we'll see is the famous Lion's Gate. So this is the Lion's Gate. So I don't know if you can just make out above the gate the two lions that are carved into the rock there. And again, if you'll remember the myth of Hercules and the Nemean lion. So perhaps lions were symbolic in this part of the Peloponnese. And I don't know if you can see the size of those rocks, but they're pretty goddamn big. Ancient people seem to love making things out of giant rocks. And it'd be so much easier to make them out of small rocks. In the classical ages of Greece, they used smaller, still quite heavy, but smaller blocks of stone. But this bottom one here, that's easily 1.8 metres across, probably a metre deep. Looks like there's a lot of people here today. So this is about from the highest point. It's quite a good view from up here. Oh, it made me dizzy going round. So I guess I will now make my way back down, try and find the museum, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm sure it must be somewhere, and then cycle on to Nafplion. Okay, I hope you enjoyed those clips. It's a really nice site actually, so if you're coming this way, definitely pop in and see it. If you're coming on a bike like I am, I would suggest two things. Firstly, don't wear shoes like I've got, which have got the cleats on the bottom, the SPDs, because there's quite a lot of marble there and walking's a little bit tricky. So I would have swapped my shoes if I'd remembered, and I'll remember for other archaeological sites. And the second thing is, don't cycle up here with your bags, because you're going to need to leave your bike and the bags outside. So hopefully my bike's going to be there waiting for me with the bag still on it, and I'm going to go to the second part of the site, which is the Treasury of Artemis. Okay, so entering the Treasury of Artemis. I think it's the Treasury of Artemis. I will double check and let you know at the end of the video if it was wrong. Which seems to be a very, very big place. I didn't come here before. Wow. If you can hear that, there must be some bees or flies in here or something. And it looks like a huge beehive, which is kind of ironic. It's probably a little bit dark for you to pick anything up, really. Not sure what's in there. I'll add in some photos from the outside as well, because I think they'll work better. So that's it, that's the archaeological site of Mycenae pretty much done. Let me turn you around. Okay, so that's the archaeological site of Mycenae done, and there were bees in there. So, but I didn't get stung, so that was okay. So now I'm going to cycle on to Nafplion, and I just found out that my bike lock doesn't work. So not only did I have to leave my bike outside with all my bags on, the bike lock I put on there wasn't working either. So in Nafplion I'm going to need to buy a new bike lock. I'm sure there's some bike stores in there somewhere. So that's it, I think I've got another 20 kilometres to go. It's definitely downhill for the first 5. And then I'm heading to the coast, so I presume it's downhill at some point. And that should be the end of the day's ride. No doubt there'll be some more clips from the road though before we get there. Speaking of it. Hello there, so that's the end of the day's ride and I'm here in Nafplion. It was a 71-kilometre ride with about 750 metres of total elevation gain. I'm staying here in Nafplion for 2 nights and I have a €25 a night hotel room, which is even more awesome than yesterday's one. I would show you it, but it's too small. It won't actually fit in the camera very well, so there we go. But it's got a fridge, so I'm going to go and stock up with some fruit and veg. Tomorrow I am just doing a loop ride from here, so I'm going to go and see a couple of archaeological sites linked with the myth of Hercules and the 12 labours. And I think that's all I've got to say for now. If you like the video, please thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers for now.